All right, this edition of Mic Drop Mondays, we're going to talk about the two national level interpretive disputes filed by the NALC last Friday. One is in regards to Step B grievances and the delay. Definitely going to talk about that. The second thing is over the NALC, which people that get an unfavorable background check and they've been separated and what happened. We went to national arbitration and we won. And then, of course, the Postal Service doesn't want to comply with that because they lost. And then you guys got some questions. We're going to clear the air on a couple things if you stick around until the end. So here's the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Mic Drop Mondays. It's October the 13th, the Monday holiday. And we do not have any guests with us today other than Renee and Sarah. I don't know if we don't call them guests, you know. They are the producers of the show. Renee has changed her look here today. She was just telling me her and I separately ended up going to a boo at the zoo yesterday at the Brookfield Zoo, and we ran into each other at some point. Apparently, she was in full costume, as were a lot of the other kids. I mean, and the adults at the zoo. But I missed it, and so I would have taken a picture for you guys for sure. We would have definitely put it up there. Everyone wants to know what she looks like, but in costume, you know, it's kind of the same. We could have seen something
But
there.
why is that such a big deal?
I
Like
don't know.
I don't. It's a pop. Most people are listening to it while they're carrying their mail. So
Well, apparently not everyone,
yeah,
because there's been some comments. You know, where is Renee? What does she look like? Who is she? Is she even a real person? You know?
She is a real person. If you're on the Care for Prez Discord, there were pictures posted when you installed
Really?
her as an officer.
Oh,
So
that's
there's
interesting.
evidence she's a real person. She's not a bot. She's real.
Okay. And she's not a Renfro clone or whatever. She's not a.
No.
It's I figure after we do the show, we'll get into a little bit of the Facebook chatter or whatever, the conversation out there. Maybe answer a couple of those questions if you guys want to. But today I wanted to go over the two national interpretive disputes that were posted on the NALC website October the 10th last week. What is that, Friday? Yeah, I think on Friday it was posted. You could put them up on the screen. The first dispute we'll talk about is, and I'll just read from the NALC.org. The first dispute arises from a position recently taken by management representatives on Step B teams regarding the arbitrability of grievances. The interpretive issue to be decided is whether a grievance appealed to Step B ceases to be arbitrable if the Step B team fails to issue a decision on the grievance within 14 days, absent an extension agreement. And so this is finally a national level dispute that's being elevated regarding the dispute resolution process, but it's not nowhere near it's not our dispute. It's essentially us saying that management's argument doesn't hold weight under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. And so there's timelines throughout the contract. And one of the timelines is that the grievance will be at Step B for 14 days and, prior to a decision being rendered. And it's never been an issue, well, it is an issue for us that it stays longer than 14 days. But it's never been an issue for the Postal Service because, as we've talked about many times, it's not their grievance, it's our grievance. Whatever they did, they're happy with whatever they did. And so, normally, and even now, grievances sitting at the DRT for, weeks, months, even years on end is not a problem for the United States Postal Service. So what they're doing is they're trying to play gotcha in a couple of instances. And I haven't seen this, across the board, but we've seen it in a couple of instances where they say, oh, this grievance been here more than 14 days, which it's a weird argument because not all of them, but most of the grievances have been there more than 14 days. So why this particular grievance? So we're just trying to nip that in the bud. And what happens with these interpretive disputes is that both parties have to declare a position. There's meetings, there's discussions. It doesn't like proceed directly to national arbitration. And so hopefully the Postal Service will agree that they can't try to say that a grievance is void because it's been at step B more than 14 days. I mean, they're the reason why it's there at step B more than 14 days. So it's a pretty shitty position to take. But we don't know yet if the Postal Service at headquarters, like the United States Postal Service, is going to take that position. That's the point of raising the interpretive dispute. Do you, the Postal Service, believe you have the right to try to avoid a grievance that's been at the step B level for more than 14 days? If they come back with the answer being no, then you'll get one of those step fours. If you look in the material reference system, there's tons of documents that never went to national arbitration that were resolved by the parties. And, you know, it's like a letter or it's an agreement between the parties. And hopefully that's what will happen here, that we'll get something that says that a grievance sitting at step B more than 14 days is not declared, you know, void. It doesn't void the grievance. It doesn't mean it constitutes a waiver by the union of the grievance. And so if that doesn't happen, then we would have to pursue this issue all the way to national arbitration. Let's hope that doesn't happen. That's not something you want to pursue, because that's a situation where there's nothing more we can win, and only something we can lose, because an arbitrator could say, no, the Postal Service has the right to do that, which, you know, would harm all of the grievances that we have pending that are there for more than 14 days. So hopefully that's not the outcome. But we don't know. We don't know how this part will play out. Now, the issue that we have, one of many issues in the dispute resolution process, is the issue of the Postal Service not putting the resources into dispute resolution teams, meaning that the language in the dispute resolution memorandum. And so I asked Sarah. Sarah has her book from the convention in 2024, and my branch 11, put forth a resolution at the convention. And so if we put that up on the screen, you can see, is it up there? Because I can't see
It's
the
up there.
screen. Okay.
It's up there.
Well, can you read the resolve part? Because I can't see it.
So the resolve part says that in any instance where the NALC, NBA, and the USPS area manager of labor relations have the need to activate backup teams to address a DRT backlog, and their NBA has identified backup DRTs that are available per the DRT memo, yet the service refuses to activate these available backup DRTs, that the NALC will immediately file a national level grievance to enforce the terms of the DRP memo.
Okay, and so the word available, when it says available per the dispute resolution process memorandum, that memorandum specifically spells out what available means. And available means that they've had the training and they're still employed by the Postal Service. Because what we have is a lot of people that the Postal Service wants to tell us are no longer available because they're in some other position. Like they don't work for labor relations. Now they're a postmaster. Now they're a whoever, you know. Oh, this person's not available anymore. Well, the memorandum defines available as the person has the training and they still work for the Postal Service. In other words, we could still insert them as a backup dispute resolution team member. And the issue we've been having that led to, and mind you, resolutions have to be submitted 60 days prior to the convention. So this was submitted in June of 2024. We were having this issue all throughout 2023 and 2024, where the Postal Service would agree that, there's a backlog of grievances. Anytime you can't hear the grievances within 14 days. I mean, generally, anytime you have more than like 20, 25 grievances, you are in danger of not being able to hear those grievances within 14 days. Most of the dispute resolution teams, and just by the way, we're getting together like a little round table with some of the DRT members to get their feedback on this and a lot of other things going on out there with the grievance process. But, normally 10, 15, 20, somewhere in that range per week grievances. And so you take 15 per week, probably an average number. It depends on the grievances that come in, the complexity of the grievances coming in. But you're talking about a 2-week period. If you have more than 30 grievances, most likely those won't be heard within the 14 days. And so we have the majority of our dispute resolution teams have grievances, have more than 30 grievances, and they don't have the ability to meet on them within 14 days. And so we introduced this resolution to comply our union to file a interpretive issue, to do the same thing that we're doing here with this other issue, to file an interpretive issue over the Postal Service intransiency and the Postal Service refusal to activate the number of backups needed, even though they have those backups available and even though they know that they're needed, they still refuse to activate them because they don't want to spend the resources in the dispute resolution process that are required by the contract. And so we're stuck with our grievances sitting more than 14 days, and there's a myriad of issues. Like I said, let's talk about that in a future episode. But there's so many problems with the grievances when they sit like that that causes serious harm to our members. And so we get there. You guys, Renee, were you at the convention as well in Boston?
Yes, I was there.
Do you remember this when this came up as a vote?
Yeah, because I remember, didn't Moulton get up and speak on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Moulton spoke
I
on it.
believe
A
it
few
was
people spoke on it.
yeah, and yeah, I remember what Moulton. I remember him getting up and speaking on it.
So we had, we had some help with the Illinois State Association of Letter Carriers, and we had put out, I think, a flyer to all of the delegates out there, letting them know that this was going to come up for a vote, and if they would, please take a close look at it, because, like I said, people are having this problem all over the place. It's not just a Region 3 issue or any particular region's issue, and so if you guys remember when it came up for a vote. So first of all, when you get the book, it says disapproved by the Executive Council. And what that means is that, obviously I'm a member of the Executive Council, but I was outvoted. So I'm saying we should approve this resolution. We should file a national grievance. And the majority on the Executive Council thought that it was not a good idea to file a national grievance on this issue. And so they disapproved the resolution. And so we get to the convention, and my president, Elise Foster, spoke on it. I think she just introduced me, something like that. Anyway, that spoke on it, explained the reason, and the kind of the intransiency, the problem we're getting from the Postal Service, the blockade we're getting from the Postal Service in activating the number of teams we would need to hear our grievances in a timely manner at the Step B level. And so I explained all that. Then people speak against it, people speak for it. And then someone calls for the question. I don't know how long we talked about it, maybe for 15, 20 minutes. Someone calls for the question, and then all of the delegates from all of the branches all over the country, they get a chance to vote. And the first vote is always a voice vote. And so, President Renfro chairs the convention, and he says all those in. So the way that they do the vote is you're going to approve the recommendation of the Executive Council, which to me is so backwards, but the Executive Council had a recommendation of disapproval. And so the vote is all those in favor of approving the recommendation of disapproval. And so the ayes said the ayes, and then called for the nays, and he called for the nays. And from where we were sitting, I don't know. Do you guys remember this at all?
I remember it being talked about, and I remember people being very confused. And I want to say that the people in our branch were explaining to the members what it actually meant.
Yeah, like I said, the way they conduct the vote is confusing.
Is this when you got caught streaming at the convention or no?
It could be. It could be.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah.
So what happened was President Renfro is chairing the convention, and so to me it was very clear that there were more nays than ayes, right? Meaning that more people were against the recommendation of the Executive Council of disapproval, meaning that they were in favor of approval of the resolution, like we should file a national grievance. To keep it simple, let's file a damn national grievance on this issue, elevate this as an interpretive issue. And I thought it was clear from the voice that that's in fact what it was. And President Renfro said he couldn't tell. His hearing wasn't great. But sometimes it sounds differently from different parts of the room, and he's up on the stage. Okay, so you can't tell. So at that point, you have a teller vote. Right?
Yeah,
And
say
then
that part over.
so at that point, you have a voice vote. You can't tell what the outcome is. You can't tell if there's more in favor or against. And so then you have to have a division. And so I believe it was President Renfro called for the division, or maybe somebody went to the microphone and called for a division. But a division is those that are in favor stand up, and then those that are opposed stand up, and that kind of thing. And so without the click, without
Mhm.
counting each person. And so we did that, and once again, it was very overwhelmingly visually. It sounded overwhelmingly against it, and visually it was very much against it. And keep in mind, you guys, hardly ever does this happen. I've been going to conventions since the year 2000, and it just very rarely do you get someone overturning what the executive council wants us to do. It's very close to being a rubber stamp, the delegates at the convention, but this was different. And I don't know if it was the issue or the fact that we had kind of passed out flyers and really built for it, but whatever the case was, it was clear from the voice vote, and it was clear from how many people stood up against it that this thing was not going to pass. And so President Renfro, he does this, I don't see nothing, I don't hear nothing. He goes, we're going to have the clickers, a teller vote, in order to determine the outcome of this thing. And the teller vote traditionally is somewhat of an intimidating factor, because now your vote, will be counted. Like, everyone will know exactly how you voted, which, to me is no problem. But for some people, they don't like that. It feel a little tense when something like that happens. And so they went ahead and did the teller vote, and it was, I think, like 2-1. It was overwhelming. I don't remember the numbers. At the time, I know we were talking about it, but it was overwhelming that the delegates wanted us to file a national grievance. And so, long story short, all of this happens, and to this day, President Renfro has not filed a national grievance on that issue of the Postal Service refusing to activate backup teams. And to me, that's such first of all, the members of the union, the delegates to the convention are the supreme body, and we said, file a damn grievance, man. It's not that complicated. And he refuses. It was similar to all this stuff with the tentative agreement, that like he knows what's best and he's not going to listen to us. There were other resolutions at the convention that called for the president to do certain things, and even things that were approved by the executive council. He still didn't do those things. And it's just crazy to me that this guy can still be our president when he does not follow the will of the members in any way. That to me should disqualify you as the president of our union. But here we are, a year and some change later, and the grievance backlog has gotten worse. Way worse than what it was even then in Boston in 2024. I don't want to throw out a number and be wrong, but it was like 13,000, something like that, and now we're like 35,000. Like, we have way more grievances now than we had even then. And like I said, still we still haven't filed a national grievance on the issue.
Hey, Mike, I just want to, give you, a little shout out here. You pick like some really good people to go up, like, to be in DRT. I got a decision from Caitlin. Is it from Joliet?
Yeah, Caitlin
Believe
Magruder.
yeah, I don't want to butcher her last name. I got a really good decision from her. So yeah, I think she's gonna do great things up there with Molten. So
Yeah, and so that's a great example, right? You bring up Caitlin's name. Caitlin got the training at least a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and so she's ready, And I'm like, okay, Postal Service, go to your list of people that have gotten trained, which there's a lengthy list on their side of people that have gotten trained that are not, that they have not activated to work in the DRT. And that DRT office in Aurora, Illinois, they only have like 100 grievances, so their backlog maybe about 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, depending on the grievance, right? And so
No, I think when I spoke with
3 months.
Malton, yeah, I was gonna say I think it's a bit more back because I know I just got a decision that came down that I sent up in May. I just got it. I think it was last week. And so yeah, we've been getting like the Aprils and the Mays like last
Right.
week. So
Yeah, so it's even more than that. And they're Jim Moulton is the primary, very thorough, which is good and writes really in depth and explains everything. And I don't know. And then sometimes you have disputes that take longer. Anyway, let's say they're doing probably close to 10 grievances a week. If they have 100 or I think about 120 grievances, that's 12 weeks time, kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, I probably undersold it. But what I was trying to say was that it wouldn't take a monumental effort. We have some teams where they have 500, 1,000, 2,000 grievances pending. And activating a backup team, it needs to be done, but it's not like it's going to resolve the issue like that. But in Aurora, we could get down to within 14 days like it's supposed to be if they would activate the team. And that's what I was, when Caitlin got the training, she came back, she goes into the office, gets the familiarization. Hey, she's ready to roll. She can do the job, like you said. And so I'm telling the Postal Service, who's your person? Who's your person? Who's your person? I've been waiting for like a month now for them to tell me who their person is because they just don't want to activate backups. And how are we going to force the Postal Service to comply with the terms of the contract if we don't file a grievance? I mean, the delegates to the convention shouldn't have had to tell the president to file a grievance on this issue, but they did, and so that should mean something. That should have an effect, and it just hasn't. So anyway, maybe we will. The president has been threatening to file a grievance on that very issue of them not activating backups and some other issues in the dispute resolution process that the Postal Service is not doing what it's supposed to do. And I know he's asked all of the business agents to send him kind of reports on the issues that we're having, and we've done that. We've kind of delineated things and given examples and given the copies of the emails, whatever. All the information that the president needs to pursue this issue. So we may hear, and we should be hearing more on that particular issue. You guys want to go to the second interpretive issue?
Sure.
Okay. The second issue is over the Postal Service refusal to comply with the June 30, 2025 National Level Award by arbitrator Margot Newman, commonly referred to as the NALC Award. I'm just reading from the NALC website there. Yeah, in our system, it's 37276, but anyway, I sent it. I must have been looking at that's where Google sent me, was to the mail handler, so that's why I sent it to you like that. But if you look at this was the national award on that NACI issue. All of the unions, so if you look at the left-hand side there, it's the Postal Service, and then it's the APWU, it's the NALC, it's the National Mail Handlers Union, and it's the rural carriers. And the arbitrator is Margot Newman. And then it lists all of the attorneys for the different unions. And the place of the hearing was video conference hearing. We're on the second page now. Video conference hearing, the date of the hearing was December the 12th of 2024, and the briefs were received in April, and the date of the award is June 30th. And here's the award summary, number 1 and 2. Number 1, a grievance protesting the separation or removal of a non-probationary employee based upon an unfavorable NACI report is substantially arbitrable under Article 15. Number 2, in such arbitration, the Postal Service must prove that it had just cause for the separation removal under the principles of Article 16. And so let me break that down for you guys real quick. The NACI is a national agency background check. It's like National Agency Check Investigation or something. It is, well, the Postal Service, the Inspection Service, runs it through their background check agency, and they give the Postal Service a response on a potential employee. They say either favorable or unfavorable. Now, everyone goes through this when they apply for a job with the Postal Service. And if it's unfavorable, they just won't hire you, right? But the problem is that the inspection service, they run on their own time frame. And so What they've had is situations where they want to come back later after a person has already been employed, specifically after the person has passed 90 days probation if they're a career employee, or even if they're a non-career employee, they passed the 9120, and they have access to the grievance procedure if there's a removal or separation. And so the Postal Service comes back and say, no, I'm sorry, we missed this one. You got an unfavorable NACI. We're going to separate you. And they were just separating people immediately. Like they were saying, hey, it's been nice knowing you, but turn your badge in and peace out, just like that. And so this is what led to this national arbitration. And so that number one under the summary, it says that is grievable. And so, like, for example, if it happened in the hiring process, it wouldn't be grievable. It's not grievable until you become an employee. And specifically, they say a non-probationary employee, because a probationary employee basically can be separated for any reason. And this would be one of the reasons. Postal Service would say, hey, whatever our reason is, that's our reason within the probationary period. But we're talking about, does the Postal Service, can they just separate someone without giving that person access to the grievance procedure after the probationary period has been completed? And so the award says, number one, that they do have access to the grievance procedure. The Postal Service can't just separate you like they were doing. And then number two, in that situation, the Postal Service has to meet just cause. They can't just say that the person failed the NACI. And that's what they wanted to say. They want to be able to say that passing the NACI is a condition of employment. And actually, it's not. And that, the arbitration award explains everything, but it's not even a condition of employment, meaning that there's reasons why you would fail the NACI. And so if you're not a U.S. citizen, for example, that's a reason why you would fail the NACI, and that's a legal requirement that the Postal Service has. So there's certain things that are legal requirements. But let's say they see some type of felony arrest or felony conviction or something on your criminal background check. And keep in mind, it may or may not be accurate, because sometimes the background checks come up with a cousin or someone with a similar name or whatever, right? But assuming even it was accurate, the law doesn't say if a person has been convicted of a felony, they cannot work for the Postal Service. It doesn't say that. It says that the Postal Service would have discretion in the hiring process. It would be a factor that they could consider or not consider in the hiring process. And absolutely, they have the right to consider whatever factors they want in the hiring process. Our position is only that once you hire someone, they're covered on our collective bargaining agreement. The National Association of Letter Carriers is the sole representative of all city letter carriers once you hire them. Before you hire them, no, we have no say in it. After you hire them, they're covered under our collective bargaining agreement. They have access to the grievance procedure. Specifically, Article 16 says that they have to have just cause for any removal or separation after the probationary period, or for non-career employees, 90 working days or 120 calendar days. And so we won this thing, right? All right, so we won this thing, and we're thinking that the Postal Service is going to implement the terms, meaning that all of the people that have been separated based on an unfavorable NACI without due process or without access to the grievance procedure, that they'll just be returned to work. And that has not happened. Matter of fact, the Postal Service is trying to vacate this award, my understanding, in federal court, which very slim chance that that's going to happen. But in the meantime, what happens to all the people that are out there? And it's not a ton of people, but for the ones that are out there that have this hanging over them and they're not being allowed to work, or at least not being allowed to work at the Postal Service, this is a big deal. And so I wanted to show you guys a letter that one of my people got, and they're fine with us sharing this. We whited out the names or whatever, but this is what the Postal Service is doing as a response. And then I got to get back to the national interpretive issue as well, so remind me. Is it up on the screen?
Yes.
I can't see this one. Why can I see some things and not other things? Do we know why?
It's your iPad. Your iPad says whether you can see it or not.
Oh, it does? I can't tell it what to do.
I mean, you could, but I can't tell you how to tell it what to do.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. Okay. All right. So this is a letter, and it's rough. Like as far as the time frames, it's rough. So the first thing it says is that you were issued a separation, and that the separation is hereby rescinded effective immediately. So this thing was dated on October the 7th. The arbitration award was, what did we say? The arbitration award was June 30th. So it took them 2 months, August, no, 3 months.
No.
It took them 3 months to issue this letter. And the letter says that in this case, this person was separated on May 23rd of 2024. It's been a while already. You're issued a notice of separation upon receipt of an unfavorable NALC report, National Agency Check with Inquiries. No wonder I didn't know what that was. I know it's a background check. This separation is hereby rescinded effective immediately. You will receive back pay retroactive to the date you were placed in a non-duty, non-pay status following receipt of your unfavorable NALC adjudication. So far, so good. Adjudication. Paid administrative leave status. You are hereby placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. You will remain in a non-duty status on paid admin leave until further notice. Once again, still okay. You want to pay me and I don't have to come to work? Not the worst thing in the world. Some people do say, hey, what about my overtime and things like that? But you can do, and when you're at admin leave status, it's not like you're restricted in any way. You can go out and make money in any way you see fit, and you still receive your full salary and benefits from the Postal Service. So I personally would take that deal every day of the week, but I know some people still have an issue with that sometimes. So now they want to talk about your return to duty. And they make a statement here, which I believe is false. They say a favorable NALC is a condition of employment. I don't think that's true. There are legal requirements that a NALC might uncover, like I was mentioning the citizenship thing. The NALC could uncover something that would prohibit you from being a postal employee. But like I say, having a background, having a federal felony conviction or something, that's not one of the conditions. So that statement is generally false. And you do not currently have a favorable NALC. And so they're going to send this person through the process again. And the person has to fill out an SF-85, which is basically your application. Now, lying on your application will almost certainly get you fired. And so the person, should be honest when they fill this out, right? They fill out the SF-85, they turn it in, and then they got to get fingerprinted. And this thing is like, when I was saying it's onerous, they only have 3 days, 3 calendar days, not even 3 working days. But once they receive the email, which, you have to check your spam and your whatever, but in theory, you'd receive the email from the Postal Inspection Service. You'd fill out the SF-85, and then on the second page there, it talks about contacting the Postal Service to go get fingerprinted again and go through that process. And so, lying on the application is a reason for you to be separated. They still have to meet just cause. But I don't think that a person who has something on their record would or should be terminated because now they're already an employee, if that makes sense. So if you look at going back to the Newman Award, the award says that the person has access to the grievance procedure, and it says in a situation where the Postal Service is trying to separate them or terminate their employment, they have to meet just cause. And so to me, it's inherently unfair to somebody that they're in the same situation they were when they became an employee. So let's say I have a felony conviction, right? And I'm hired on and I'm working for the Postal Service, and they said I'm all good. And then at some point later down the road, 2 years later, they say, no, we changed our mind. We don't want you as an employee anymore. To me, that's inherently unfair. And they're trying to frame it as this is because it's a condition of employment, but it actually is not. And so we'll see what the outcome of these new, NALCs are. It could come back favorable, or it could come back unfavorable. But if it comes back unfavorable and they move to separate you, you would have the right to file a grievance, and you would have the right to make the argument that it's inherently unfair that they're doing this, years after the fact. And so hopefully we'll be successful with these, and we'll see where it goes. Particularly what we have going back to the NALC put out the two national level interpretive disputes. What we're disputing is that USPS recently sued to vacate the award in federal court. The interpretive issue to be decided is whether USPS violates the national agreement by refusing to comply with the national level award. And so what I read to you guys, the letter that they gave to to this individual in my region, I don't think that violates the national award because they're complying with the national award by putting the person back into a pay status, and they're complying with the award by giving the person back pay for the whole time. So I do have other people, and there's other people around the country that they are simply refusing to either put them back in a pay status, bring them back to work, or do anything with them. And so the reason for this national award is simply to enforce the terms, this national interpretive dispute is to enforce the terms of the national arbitration award and make sure that when we win the national award, that it is complied with by the employer, regardless of whatever they want to do in federal court, try to vacate it or whatever. We still have a contract, and one of the terms of the contract is that you have to comply with arbitration awards and grievance settlements, et cetera. And so that we're just trying to enforce that and make sure that that's on the record. So this one, very, very, very likely will be successful, and we'll get that language from the Postal Service where they agree with us that national awards have to be complied with. You can try to go vacate it or do whatever you want in an outside forum, but in the meantime, you have to comply with those awards. And maybe they're going to say, yes, we agree, and we're going to go ahead and comply with, we're going to go ahead and put everyone in a pay status that we had separated based on the unfavorable NALC. So we'll see what happens on that. All right, anything more on that one?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's move on. You guys want to ask me some questions. There's been a little chatter online that I've seen. I try not to get involved in that stuff. Not that I don't, not that I'm not on all of these sites or whatever, but when I get involved in back and forth, I'm arguing with like 100 people at one time, and it's just impossible to keep up with. So I try to stay away from that. But we got our own show. So if you guys want me to address certain things that you guys are seeing out there, I have no problem doing that. So let me know what you got.
Yeah. So my question is, why do you go back once a year to carry mail?
For the exercise. No, I love carrying mail, so it's not like you're not giving me a job. But I've always done it. For the past few years, I've done it. I don't know if I've always done it. That's probably not true. But I became a full-time officer. I started working full-time for the union like in 2009, and then I became an officer in 2010. I became the business agent in 2014. And what you kind of see is that you've lost a little touch with the workroom floor, meaning that the things that are going on within the letter carrier craft, you're not as much in tune with them. And so, like, I remember I was carrying mail out in LaGrange when I was in you guys' branch in 825. And I had swapped with a guy, and I ended up in LaGrange. And we walked in one day, and there was these new scanners. There was these new MDDs. And we're all trying to figure out how to work the thing, So it was just an exercise in kind of seeing the life of a letter carrier. I'll tell you, every time I go back and carry my route, I always come away with newfound respect for the letter carrier, because it's a hard job. You're on your feet all damn day. And not that you don't kind of know this already, but just, doing that, it gives you that feeling, that knowledge, that firsthand account of what's going on out there. And then, you see how the mail is flowing. You see different functionalities with the MDD. You see different things that are going on in the post office. Obviously, it's just my post office, but, it just gives you an idea. And when I'm talking to letter carriers, I have a frame of reference. I know what the hell they're talking about. We can have a conversation. And you've seen this with the union. One of the big things about my platform is we should be a union of letter carriers. We shouldn't be a union of union people that haven't carried mail in forever, You got people running for president of the union that haven't carried mail at any time this millennium. And I got a problem with that. I think that I think that you need to be in touch with what's going on the workroom floor to the best you can. Not to say it's a, I go back and carry 1 week out of the year. It's not a magic or whatever. It's not the same as carrying mail every single day, of course, but it does give me an idea of what's out there and that kind of thing. I'll give you guys an example. In the SNDCs around the country, they're modernizing the SNDCs. They're bringing in, they're redoing the facility. And one of the things that is a head scratcher is that as they redo the facility, they bring in the same case that we've had, since 1912 or whatever, the same exact one. And the mail flow is different now. We got all these spurs and we got different things that, got to be handled differently. And instead of working together with the letter carriers to come up with a better way of casing the mail that comes in or the mail mix that comes in, and developing some new equipment. They buy everyone a brand new case, which is exactly the same as the old case. I'm like, why are we doing that? But, the leaders of the National Association of Letter Carriers are not letter carriers. And so they might not even be aware that this is an issue, That's just one example of where I'm at with it.
I know those CCAs and PTFs that have the temporary bid on your route are probably so mad when you come back.
No, that's actually not true.
No?
There is on that issue. We do want to, and somebody, I think somebody's going to introduce a resolution that says that when an officer of the NALC goes back and carries their route, they don't break the hold down. But what you guys should understand about my route is that nobody wants it. I like it because it's flat. We get paid by the click. It's not a short route by any means. I have a wire cage and a pumpkin. I get a lot of parcels. It's a heavy, it's a heavy route, but I like it because it's flat. I can't do the stairs anymore. The other route I had, anyway. So when I bid onto the route, I bid citywide in the city of Chicago. And in Chicago, we have a 2-step bidding process. You bid in station first, and then if nobody in that station wants it, then the route gets posted citywide. And so when this particular route got posted citywide, that meant that nobody at my station, 22nd Street station in Chicago, nobody in 22nd Street wanted this route. And anyway, I just talked with the union steward a couple of days ago, and I asked her, did anyone have a hold down? And she's like, nobody even has a hold down on the thing. So
That's
I'll be
terrible.
out there. I'll be out there cleaning up the mail. It'll be mail all over the damn place. I'll be cleaning it up and sending mail back and, all of that. But it's all good. I get paid by the click. I'm going to go deliver the route November, the week of Veterans Day, November 10th,
Okay.
12th, 13th, 14th.
Isn't that like the heaviest the heaviest week?
It's just very hard to find space on the calendar. There's a lot of people that work for the union that would like to go back and carry their routes as well. It's just very hard to find space on the calendar where you don't have duties, meetings. I still do arbitration hearings. You have trainings. You have, whatever. So hopefully there'll be nothing that week. But I take leave from the NALC. So I'm a full-time officer for the National Association of Letter Carriers. I take leave and then I go back and carry my route. I still have my assignment with the Postal Service. So.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
we can
I'm
make
not.
this next one. Oh, we can make this next one a yes or no because I know you said you had somewhere to be. So,
Okay.
and you like giving these long answers. So,
What is it,
did
like an
you
arbitration
ever
hearing? This is a yes, no? I would like a
did
yes,
did
no
you
answer,
ever
please.
say that you were more interested in your own personal goals rather than the needs of the city letter carriers?
No. I can't answer. I can't say nothing more.
You go like it's your time. You said that hey, you got somewhere to be, so just trying to
It,
hey, it's
it's
kind of like did
painful.
you say it or
Look,
didn't you say it?
it's painful when someone would say that, and it's probably a person that doesn't know me, but I don't do shit for the pub. You know what I mean? I do what I think is best for us as a union, and particularly those carriers. What is good for us. And the only reason I'm running for president is because I think I would be valuable in that role as president of the union, and I don't see anybody else out there that could easily fill that role and would be the best person for the letter carriers. If that person was out there, then I would want that person to be the president. It's not that, it's not that I have any personal aspirations or I want to hold some type of office or whatever. I just want to make sure that the members of the union get the best person possible to be the president, because the president is such a very, very important, way more important than any of the other 27 officers that we're going to elect next year. The president is by far the most important, and we should be able to get the person that we want. And if the people want me to be their president, I'm here. I'm willing. I'm willing to serve. If the people want somebody else, they're not hurting my feelings. I don't need it for. I don't need to be the president or any other officer. I'm fine being a letter carrier on Route 16 at 22nd Street. I am.
And I want to, I don't know if you want me to say this or not. So, you can edit this out if you want to. But I remember having a conversation with you or whatever. It was like maybe it wasn't even a year into, think when Winfro, when he became president and stuff like that. And I remember you saying I could do a better job than this guy. So I feel as if, with you running and everything else, like you're staying true to what you said way back then that you feel like you could do a better job than him. So yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I try to keep up with all the different comments, like I was telling you guys. I saw somebody commenting about basically that I'm new to being a person, like, like I was good with everything up until I became a candidate for president, and that is hogwash. I've always been a person to raise concerns, issues, and say, hey, this might not be the right way of doing things. I mean, I could show you the emails going back 10 years where I'm saying, we need to take a different approach in collective bargaining. We're not accomplishing this. We're too defensive. The union needs to, get the public on our side. Some of the things that are part of my platform now, these things I've been saying for years that would make our union stronger. I've been an advocate for those things for a very long time. It just, it doesn't mean that I'm right, or it doesn't mean that people agree with me. You know what I mean? I advocate for what I think is right, but the chips fall where they may, and that, we're a democratic union. And so we elect people to represent us, and those people make decisions, and we all live with those decisions, and hopefully those are going to be the best decisions. But going forward, we need a new president. I don't think that there's any way around that. We need a new president in 2026, and we need a new president today, but we just don't have that option. But we will have that option in 2026.